Hello everyone again, and welcome to the next episode of Sam's House. Here we are at my place again, and today my guest is John Virgona. John is the Managing Director of VIRGON Constructions. John and I have had a great relationship over about probably spanning 15 years really, ever since I started in real estate. Back in about 2005 I was involved in selling one of John's developments in Hawthorn, and we've struck up a great relationship over the years. I thought it'd be great to get some of John's insights into his experience in the industry. Over that time he's built a fantastic company, very reputable, particularly around the Burundara region in the contemporary homes that he's constructed, and he's obviously taking on jobs for private clients. I'm sure you've seen a number of the boards up around the area, and obviously has been very successful in doing his own developments as well. So there we go. Yep, we've got the branding in on shot. Well done. I thought it'd be great to get some of John's insights here today. So, John, welcome to Sam's House.
Mate, thank you very much.
And we can actually have a beer together as well. So
cheers.
I hope you don't mind that. Cheers, John. Thanks for joining us. So, just going back to the start, John, I mean, I'll get you to give us a bit of your background. I mean, from what you told me actually recently, and I wasn't aware of this, but your career didn't actually start as a builder, did it? You were on a completely different career path altogether. Can you tell us a bit about that and how the transition actually happened?
It's funny. My brother, now he'll probably deny this, but I used to be a hairdresser. I had my own hairdressing salon.
You're a hairdresser.
Very creative.
Right.
I was thought I was going to be one of those famous hairdressers. And anyway, my brother said to me, he goes, I want to be a hairdresser. And I said, he's 5 years younger than me, and he wanted to follow his big brother's footsteps. I said, look, if I had my time again, I'd be a builder.
Right.
And he goes, but I want to be a hairdresser. And I said, sorry, Renato, this is more about you, I think. But I said, look, come and work for me and see how you go. And after 1 week, he's shampooing the old lady's hair, and I looked at him. I thought, no, I don't think it's him. And he said, yeah, you're right. I don't want to be a hairdresser. And he got into the building game. So, and from there, I actually had a pretty good plan. I said, look, you go and learn how to build, and then I'll go and invest in property, and then we'll get together.
Fantastic.
So, and as it turned out, was someone turned up on my doorstep and said, I want to buy a hairdressing salon.
Yeah.
And I thought, hello, why not? And I was putting up with all the ladies, they were starting to get a bit too stressed out.
So you're blaming the ladies for your transition into the building game.
But look, property has always been my hobby, and I always had that interest in property, and I already bought my first investment already in the age of 21.
Yeah, right.
So I was off and running with that, and that's why the plan was, get Renato up to speed, and once he was he knew what he was doing, then I joined forces with him. I became his apprentice.
Wow.
So there's a bit of payback there.
Yeah,
so,
I bet.
It's when your younger brother's your boss, I had to really cop it sweet, and he got me doing all the dirty work. So
yeah,
but it was good. It was a great relationship, and we quickly moved on from there.
And so it is very much a family business, VIRGON. I mean, obviously in its origins, but now your son Christian's working in the business as well. I mean, how do you find working closely with people who are so close to you in your life?
Look, obviously it's very passionate. Being Italians, we talk loud. We've got great ideas. We voice them, and I think that really works well. That some of the staff in the office sometimes think, what's going on here, because they're not used to that Italian spirit.
Right. Yes.
And so they think we're arguing, but it's just we're communicating in just a loud way.
Of course.
And we exchange our ideas. We work through it. And that's where a lot of our team meetings, when we come up with designs and we share the vision, and we sort of work it together, and
that's
that's part of our strength too. When we have, like with our architects that we on the payroll, they come up with the ideas, and then with our construction knowledge, we sort of work together, and that way there we don't overshoot the budgets.
Well, let's go back a little bit further. So you mentioned there around the age of 21 when you sort of gotten into it. What can you tell us about the first development that you were a part of? Have you got much memories of that?
I do actually, because this is the thing, right? You know, you can get advice along the way, but it's how you listen to that advice. And all I wanted to do was buy a house. You know, I just thought, oh, okay, you know, like let's have a look and we'll buy a house and renovate it, and you know, like, hey. Anyway, this real estate agent suggested, you know, like he goes, oh, yeah, this is quite a large block. You know, you could build townhouses on this. I've gone, townhouses? What are you talking about? Right. You know, I had no idea, not even interested about being a developer. And he goes, yeah, you know, you go to an architect, you get some plans drawn up, you get the permit, da-da-da. Made it sound so real easy. Yes. And you get your permits and then you build them and you make money and you get out of there. And I thought, okay, all right.
Yeah, you'll give it a go.
And that's exactly what I did. And then I had some further advice about, you know, where to invest.
Yeah.
And I mean, my first investment was in the far eastern suburbs out Croydon way. So I then came to Hawthorn, and that's when I started investing in Hawthorn, probably when I was about 25 years old. Yeah. And that was in just off Lydiard Street in Hawthorn. So it was a nice little cute Victorian pair there, and yeah, we're off and running. We've been there, you know, in the ground, doing the concreting and, you know, everything, ripping off plaster and fun and games.
And it sounds like from what you're saying, it's really, you know, it's the experience of doing it that allows you to actually learn and grow and become better at what you do. Can you remember what your key learnings were earlier on when you were looking at these planning and subdivisions and the time that's involved? What were some of the things that you took away that you learnt the hard way, I guess, early on?
Well, look, definitely the hard way. I mean, the first investment we bought was virtually right in the middle of the recession,
right, in
the 90s, and we had interest rates at 17 and 18%. So, you know, probably what I learned at the time was not to over commit to, you know, don't borrow too much money, you know, because that's the thing about the market. That everyone thinks the market keeps going up.
Yes.
But you do. I've seen many setbacks.
Yeah.
And you know, it's if you get caught out overexposed,
yes,
you'll be forced to sell.
Yep.
And that's the thing. You know me. I don't like to be forced in selling.
No,
so.
I know that very well.
Yeah. So you know, that's where I figured just do your homework.
Yep.
It's amazing how many people don't.
Yes.
And so do your homework, do your figures, and listen. Listen to people. You know, because we always know what we want to pay.
Yes.
But then there's the reality.
Who do you look at as your key advisors when you're considering a site? Obviously now you're a lot more experienced, so you know what you're looking for. But starting out, who were the people that you really leaned on?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a good real estate agent. I mean, and there's really underlying good because there's so many different opinions out there, and that's one of the good things about you. I mean, you've done your training, mate. You know, I give you a bit of a pump here because, you know, when we met, you're a young whippersnapper. You know, okay, you came out of UK and having a great time over there, but you know, then you're a bit of a young protege of Jason Shilio.
That was it. Hello, Jace.
Hey, Jace, how you going? And he had a great opinion of how to, you know, approach property, and he knew his stuff.
Yeah, he did.
And you know, so I would run things by him, and he had a good idea about cost of developments and sales.
Yes.
And he had his vision as well was don't be forced to sell. You know, just if you build something great, you know, stand by it.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's where you've got the same, and that's why we sort of continue to do business.
No, you're absolutely right. It was a great learning curve that for me, and set me on the path to where I am today. So that's been great. But coming back to your developments again, I mean, I know that was the first one that we worked in was the 5 apartments in Lisson Grove, which was a bit of a groundbreaker at the time. That boutique luxury apartment around Hawthorn. Looking at those and a few others, I know we've done the townhouses in Muir Street. You pretty much built the whole street down there, I think, John. Was there a point in your career that you reached, from doing these developments where you had a really successful one and you thought, you know what, I can actually do this, and I reckon I can actually really make a good career out of it?
One point where maybe the best decision I made in real estate was when you're investing in property, it's you can buy an investment and you might do some work to it, but a lot of it is capital growth. You spend the money, but you're relying on capital growth. So you can sell the property and hopefully you've made some return out of it and you've achieved what you set out to do. But then when you want to reinvest, everything else has gone up as well.
Yeah, of course.
So that's when I realised, I thought, well, I've got to buy more than one. And I took a bit of a spread. At that point, I actually, went and got my finances sorted. Mm-hmm. And it was great. Relationships with banks at that time was a bit different to what it is today.
Yes.
But, so I actually bought several properties at the same time.
Did you? Right. Okay.
And they were all sites that we could build on.
Yes.
And so at that point in time, we actually had a good pipeline of work, and we just went from one to another. So we could just develop one site, finish it, move on to the next.
Yes. And
that's what really set us off. And then as the market grew, we didn't have to pay those current prices. So we locked in our prices basically.
Yeah, got it.
We just won. Actually, no, it was probably we just won the award in Richmond with development. We did 2 warehouses. For most innovative construction at the time. That was 1999. So that was probably around about that time, just before that. So maybe by the time we investors, maybe 97.
Yeah. One of your specialisations is those luxury, high-end, low maintenance type properties, and we've learned that there's a market for that around here, which is very much that downsizing market. And I'll never forget when we sold the 2 in Muir Street side by side, and you'll probably remember we did one with the lift, and you did the other one without it. And I think there was a lesson in that for it as well. I mean, there was a significant difference at the other end, wasn't there?
100%. I actually say this to lots of my clients because I believe VIRGON was instrumental. Actually, Jason Shilio, back to you, Jason. Jason Shilio.
We might have to rename this Jason's house, I think. He'll be asking for royalties.
We'll have to get him on board next episode, I think, But yeah, Jason sort of... pulled me aside and goes, John, you got to put a lift. I said, no, we've already started. We're not going to put a lift in. He goes, John, JV, put a lift in, right? So I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put a lift in one and we one in the other, and we'll see how we go. Yeah. And the significant difference in sale price, that set a precedent. And now
it's about 10%, wasn't it? I reckon it was about 10%.
Yeah, that's right, exactly right.
Yeah,
and that sort of just the ramifications throughout the market. Every real estate agent knew about that sale.
Yeah,
and that's why now almost every townhouse in Boroondara has lifts.
You just don't buy. You don't build 3 levels without a lift.
Yeah,
you just don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the rule. Well, you can, but it does limit the market from those downsizers who are really conscious of longer term and how they're going to be getting up and down stairs. And I agree. I think from there on, it was a great lesson for me as well. That's one of the key pieces of advice that we give on that front. But what are the other aspects that you think that people look for when you design these modern houses? If you're designing them for sale, and I know that a lot of the stuff that you do now is private client work, and they will give you their brief. But when you're designing a house, and when the fixtures, the fittings, the layout. What are the non-negotiables as far as you are concerned to ensure that your product is popular and effective in the market?
Well, see, again, this is where it comes down to being efficient in your design, and what we believe is the real money shot is the facade. Right. You got to get the facade right. Yeah. And don't overdo it in materials. You got to get the right geometry. Get your facade right. Don't get carried away with the side elevations. I know, when you're looking at design on plan, you look at everything on that window's going to match, and what's that look like, and then the back. But the back is important too. So we look at getting those 2 elements right, the front and the back. Interior, high ceilings, full height windows, lots of light, open spaces. and then you lead through to the rear. And today, al frescoes and swimming pools is such a major part of a home.
Yes.
And that's where we sort of try and really bring the outside in, and the real connection between the two, because we love to entertain.
And John, when you're out there as a developer trying to assess the next site that you'll buy for, I know I put a lot of sites up to you, or prospective sites. They might be old houses that you can knock down or vacant land, and there's a lot that you'll just knock back straight away and say no for this reason or that reason. But just for the benefit of everyone, when you're assessing a site in terms of its potential to make you money and do a good development, what are you looking for? What when you're looking at a block of land, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, look, like a lot of its location, locality to its amenities, the orientation to the site, the topography. That's really important, because that comes to cost.
Right.
We sometimes have clients and they come in with these sites, and it's like mountain goat territory, and it's like, it's a great site, but it's going to cost a lot of money, and that's what affects your budget. So
your building costs go up a hell of a lot more if you're dealing with a sloping block.
Sloping block, whether it's excavations or higher volumes that you've got to build. So that's one of the major things and I try and get a bit of a scope on my neighbours as well, depending on what the brief is, what we're looking for. If it's a home, it's not so bad, If it's maybe a townhouse development, if you're next to apartments or another medium density property, you could have potential for more objections.
Yes.
But then again, so when it comes to the good design, if you've got the right design and I think with our brand as well, people know what we do now, and they know what we've done at Muir Street. I mean, we increased the property values in that whole street.
The amount of people who walked through those houses who were at that, scale down stage, and when we say scale down, we're talking about families who have lived in the area, sent their kids to school, and they may not want the big size land anymore, but they still want a decent size home. And it's incredible how many people who came through that, who for whatever reason didn't buy it, were then, I'm sure you got a lot of business out of it as well, as a result of people saying, look, we'd love to do this, and potentially on their own sites as well. Is that
Look, we do. People come to us, and whether they've already got a block of land, they sort of say, hey, what can we do? And that's where we start doing joint ventures with them. Because it's, that's where I think it's a perfect match when someone has a property and they don't know what to do, and they like the idea, and the beauty about it is that they sort of can say they love the area.
Yes.
We want something new, but they don't want to invest too much money anymore. So that's where we share the risk.
Yes.
And we come on board and we do the development together, where they get to keep the end product.
Yes.
And then we then sell the other one. As far as VIRGON Constructions, because we've gone through that transition phase, we were developers. We basically built for ourselves.
Yes.
So developers building for ourselves, and then from there we got the recognition, and then we started building a building business.
So if anyone is out there and considering potentially buying off the plan, or from a developer that they don't have a lot of knowledge about, what are the things that they should be asking about or doing their research on if they're considering embarking on a commitment like that?
Well, the specifications today are very generic. So, and it's open-ended, so you don't know really what you're getting.
Right.
We look at these pretty pictures, and normally when you see a 3D image, that's probably the best it's ever going to look.
Right, of course.
So, it's trying to really confirm you're going to get what's in the picture.
Yes.
So know what you're buying, basically. So, because like size is important too, and that's why when we design things, we know last thing we want to do is someone to buy one of our homes off the plan.
Yep.
Or that's the main thing. When they're buying them off the plan, we don't want them to be disappointed when it's complete. They walk in, they go, "What the heck? This is too small."
Yeah.
Space. It's about your space. Know your spaces.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's where we know what we allow for is quite generous, and like how many of our developments have resold.
Yes.
Out of all the years you've
Yeah.
sold them. It's not good business for you, is it?
No, they don't go anywhere. They just seem to stay
They
there.
stay there.
Yeah. From what I see, a really good way to get a gauge on a builder or developer is to ask to see some of the work that they've done previously. I think that sort of thing works very well. So Virgon is a business, and you've given us a really good snapshot on that, John. But I guess in closing, as a business now, how long how many years would you say now?
Well, it's 20 plus years. We're celebrating 20 years in 2020.
Fantastic. That's great. And so now this is a well-established business and you're well regarded in the area. What are the consistent values that you guys seek to uphold to ensure that you maintain that reputation ongoing?
Well, the main thing is to sort of get it right the first time. The last thing we want to do is build a home and have to keep coming back and having defects. So we put a lot of work into getting it right. And yes, it might be a bit more expensive at first because we're using quality products,
Yes.
and our tradesmen, we employ our own guys. They're all chippies that we've from the ground up, from the apprentices. We have 4 apprentices at the moment, and 3 have been qualified all the way through.
Right.
So, and they love working for us, and they love our work. So, and we can keep accountability that way,
Fantastic.
So, and so that's where, everyone today says luxury. What we say is it's quality. So that's what we aspire to really deliver on.
John, that has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me at Sam's house. I'd shake your hand, but we're not quite allowed to.
I've got goosebumps.
I think everybody else has as well. I think your phone might be running hot over the next little while. But no, look, it's a great, for me personally, in working in this business, it's really about dealing with the people. And I would say you and I would be one of my longest relationship clients. Probably sold the most houses for a client I've sold for you. I think probably about 10 or 15 houses, I think, over the journey.
I haven't kept count, but there's been a few.
Somewhere
and it ain't over either, so we're still working.
That's all right. We'll continue
always recommend you, mate, when I can. So when people ask me for a good real estate agent, so but again, see, that's where I think another thing, just to sort of jump in there, mate. I think loyalty is really important, and that's why you don't get all the properties we do, because we do have that loyalty that if a real estate agent does come to us with the property, I feel like
there's an obligation. Look, as an agent, you understand that. I think for John, for your business as a builder, as much as I'd love to be your only agent, the reality is you've got to have contacts with a lot of different agents, and so. But there's an equal level of respect there for that and how that works, and as we've done in many cases, fortunately, I've got good relationships with agents in the area as well. So there's a lot of collaboration that can go into it too. So thanks for your time, mate. Thanks for popping in.
Yeah,
we'll touch elbows. And
thank you very much.
Say cheers.
Cheers.
And I'll see you around the traps. Thanks everyone for your time again on Sam's House, and we'll see you next time. All the best.
Thank you very much.